Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into BiblioTech On Air, BiblioTech's official podcast. I'm Rosanna.
And I'm Lewis.
And today we have a very special guest with us from the SJRC Chief Executive Officer, Tara Roussett. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Well, we're excited to have you. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with these questions.
So you're with SJRC. Could you introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us your role there and just kind of give an overview of what SJRC does?
Absolutely. So as we said, I'm Tara Roussett. I'm the CEO of SJRC Texas. I've been with the organization 17 years and coming up on about 10 years as serving as the CEO. And what we do at SJRC is really a whole full continuum of services for children and families in our community. We started over 42 years ago as a general residential operation. Essentially, we had kids that lived with us on our campus that we took care of, kids that were in the foster care system that didn't have families that could do that. And then from that time to where we're at today, we have grown leaps and bounds into now we are doing still residential. We still have the core programs of who we are. We license homes in the community to become foster parents, to take care of the kids in the foster care system in their home. And most recently, we have added a full prevention department, a family engagement department, where we are reaching out to families to give them the supports that they need so that they can so that their children don't come into the foster care system. Ultimately, that's what we want. And then we are doing what's called community-based care in 28 counties, which is Bexar County and the 27 rural counties surrounding Bexar County. And with that work, we are doing the work that was previously done with Child Protective Services, other than investigations and removals. But anytime a child enters the foster care system, we are taking care of them and working on reunification. We want to strengthen families to get kids back home with their family of origin, with it all possible. If they can't be with their biological mom or dad, we want to get them with their kinship family, aunt, uncle, cousin, grandma, anybody that's familiar with them. And then if for whatever reason none of those options last, we want to have them reach permanency with the right family for them in our community. But we want to keep kids close to home, close to the schools that they belong to and went to, and do everything that we can to build the community around them so the child and family can thrive.
That's wonderful.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's such an admirable way to approaching it from not only making sure that kids who are in the foster care system are treated well, but also looking at it from a perspective of what can we do to keep people connected with their family of origin. Like you said, what can we do to make sure that these kids don't go without or even make it into the foster care system in the first place. Like prevention is such an harm reduction and prevention are so important. And I think it's wonderful that y'all have branched out from your initial mission into something that is going to do so much good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we always said we did take great care of the kids when we just had the kids, right? And it was, I mean, I've been there 17 years and I was that person that was so proud of that work that we did. And we had the cute kids on bikes and going through our campuses and all of that. But really in hindsight, when you look at it, you're just taking care of the symptom of the problem. Let's get the holistic, let's get everybody involved so these kids aren't there. Even though we took good care of them, I don't want any child to grow up in that type of environment. We want them to have the families that they know and love, the memories. I've met many children through the years and worked there's not been one that hasn't said, I want to go back home. Their home may not look like my home, and that's okay. But what can we do to make sure that they're safe? What services can we provide? Raising kids is hard. Everybody struggles. So let's give the support to this family so the kids can thrive.
That's wonderful.
Honestly, because you hear so much about, foster system. It's unfortunately such a broken system.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you guys are just covering all the bases, the kids, the families, even basic services like, do you guys need food? Do you guys need clothes?
Yes.
What about the school? School's coming up? Okay. Even medical services, right?
Absolutely. We do all of it and provide all of it. We've done things like Thanksgiving time is coming. And what do you need at Thanksgiving? A turkey. And the family can only provide for what they have. We're like, let's give them a turkey. How do we connect them to their community partners so that we can ensure that families have everything that they need, to include medical? We have a partnership with the university, now UTSA, School of Nursing. And they have a facility. They have locations across many of our facilities facilities where they provide medical care to our clients in the community that maybe can't get to their local doctor, and partnering and bringing everything that we can to just make raising kids easier for families.
Yeah. That's excellent. I feel like that's just such a there's so many different avenues that people don't typically consider whenever it comes to becoming a parent, other than just like how do I financially provide, how do I care for like a baby. But whenever it comes to you're going to be raising this child or children like for so many years, there's so many hardships that can come upon you and stuff like that, and just having an organization like this to have your back, to just be community, to be able to talk to people, to be able to not feel alone, just to have a village. That's just that I'm sure that does immense good for the community and will continue to.
It does.
Yeah.
We're really trying to remove that stigma of, asking for help. We all need help.
Yeah.
The world we live in today is tough no matter what. And so it's okay to not be okay. And what can we do to come in and give you that help that you need? And I think just because, like you said, the foster care system is broken, and I think people hear of CPS and they, CPS is bad, and they're going to take my children. I hate CPS, and I get that because it's so emotional. But really, we're doing the work of CPS, but we're not CPS. We're looking at it a different way. Trust me, we want you to have your child. We want your children to be safe. So what can we give you so that you have that support? And it's okay to need support. I don't know. I'm a mom, and when I had my children, I wasn't given a manual on what to do. Right? I relied on the people around me to help me out, on my natural instincts. And I was lucky that I had a model that to be, raised after, but many people don't. And so that's where we just want to step in and give them that support in a unassuming, non-judgmental way. We want you to thrive, and what can we do so that your family thrives?
Right. And like you mentioned, no shame at all in asking for any kind of help, no matter how small or how big.
Right.
And so you mentioned that SJRC spans over 28 counties here in Texas. Do you guys see yourself like expanding to cover more of Texas?
I think we're good right now. So, to put in perspective, those 28 counties, since 2021 up until April of this year, we were just doing community-based care in those 27 counties, not to include Bexar County. So if you saw our map, Bexar County is right in the very center of those 27 counties that are around north, south, west, and east of Bexar County. So those rural counties. And then we wanted to, it's called Region 8. Community-based care was broken up between Region 8A, which is Bexar County, and Region 8B, which is the 27 surrounding counties. And as we were doing that work since 2021 in Region 8B, Bexar County is our home, is our hub. It's the community resource. It's so resource rich, where those other counties aren't, and they're used to kind of going to Bexar County for that support.
Yeah.
So when Bexar County came under procurement for community-based care, it was really just a natural fit to bring 8A and 8B back together again. So now that we have that, we're in the startup phase of that same work in Bexar County. We're anticipated to go live with that work September 1st of this year. Then we think that's probably enough. And we want to just really build out the great work that we've done in the 27 counties, bring that into Bexar County, and then just continue that, year over year to ensure that we have thriving families.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense because it seems like Bexar is just, like you mentioned, such a hub for now the community-based care, but also for just a myriad of other organizations. So it makes sense. Why not be in the same area as other organizations where we can potentially work together. Again,
Exactly.
Places like Haven for Hope or, Habitat for Humanity, some of the immunization clinics, BiblioTech,
Yes.
So...
Yes, and CASA through Project. And there's so many in our community, and all of the providers around, Catholic Charities. I mean, all of them. We all work together, and part of our mission is having change through the power of positive relationships. And there's not one organization, not one niche in this community that can do it alone. And so we're really trying to connect the community to the services.
It's also like I really respect the fact that y'all did start with the 27 counties outside as well, because I feel like those areas can get so forgotten and left behind,
overlooked.
No matter how close in proximity they are to a resource-rich area, like community resource-rich area. There are so many communities that don't have that sort of service like on the ground where they are, where they can travel. So I am like full respect to starting off with the communities that needed it most, and then also coming into Bexar County knowing that like you can not only provide your services specifically for Bexar County residents, but also join hands with what's already here. I think that's only going to make y'all stronger, and I think that's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And we see it like that as well. Just we really were able to build out all of those resources and connections in those 27 counties. And please don't hear me say it's going to be easy in Bexar County. It is not. We know it's not. But when we have worked in those 27 counties with multiple judiciaries, multiple different CASAs, child welfare boards, community resources, and built that around, Bexar County is really has one of each of those things. So while there are certainly a larger numbers in Bexar County, it will minimize kind of the larger geographic area. And then just hopefully Bexar County will just come into the fold of the work that we've already started, the foundation we've already set, and then amplify together.
Absolutely. We already talked about like a bunch of like just kind of on the surface, like a bunch of things that you do offer as like with SJRC, especially now that it's not just a foster care. But what typically does it look like whenever a family is reaching out for like a specific resource or a specific type of service that they need? How do y'all go about providing that for them?
Yeah, so great question. So it really kind of depends on where the family is in the spectrum of services that we provide. So ultimately, we want every family to reach out before their case becomes a child protective case, right? So we have a fatherhood initiative. We have in-home parenting classes that we will go in-home and work hand in hand. It's called Parents as Teachers, evidence-based program. We go hand in hand with the family and teach the parents how to work with their child in a trauma-informed, very holistic way. And again, just that non-assuming. We're not in to tell you how to do it. We're in to just show you ways that might work better for your family and just build you up from there. We have, in our fatherhood initiative, we have classes where we take the dads and the sons or dads and the daughters out to go fishing, to go to a Spurs game. We've brought them to games, in the community, and just really kind of teach those healthy relationships with other fathers and having models of that. Because as I mentioned earlier, maybe you didn't have a model of what that looked like. And so we're going to provide that in a safe way. So any kind of, you had mentioned it, we bring diapers, we have clothing drives, back to school initiatives, we connect to the community, and just all of those things kind of before and then after if they need still when they reach the child protective system. If we've missed them somehow and a child still ends up being removed and is in our care, then we kind of switch to making sure that they have safe, supervised visits. We want them to visit in the community, visit in places that they know. Maybe it's the McDonald's playground. If they still have those. I've been seeing McDonald's that are like, they keep changing them and they're not like the McDonald's playgrounds of my kids' days.
One in a while. Yeah.
But parks, right? Libraries, places in the community that they can meet that's not a stale state office where I'm watching you, watch your kid, it's awkward. So just kind of changing that dynamic. We also have positions that are dedicated, they're called family navigators, dedicated to helping the family navigate the system that they found themselves in a hand-over-hand type of way. Maybe it's transportation because they can't catch the bus, or in our rural communities, they don't even have a bus system, right? And so how can we get them to where they need to be on time so they can show up with their child? Maybe their child's in foster care, but they're going to go with them to the doctor because they want to meet them there and have that safe interaction there in a supervised way. So anything that we can do to just make it easier for the family, that's what we're doing if they're already in the system, and then giving them the tools that they need to ultimately try to get their child back. So I don't know that people understand that once a child is in the foster care system and rights have been terminated, they actually can work to, if the family changes whatever, substance abuse, physical abuse, domestic violence, whatever it was that caused the child to be out of the system, people can change. And what we want to give them the opportunity, if their child hasn't reached permanency another way, and if they haven't been adopted yet and they're still in the foster care system, what can we do to help them reunite? And so we have, since we started in 2021, we've literally had some of our, what used to be called DFPS caseworkers, we call them permanency specialists. Words matter, right? Family navigator, permanency specialists. Like we want that forward thinking of how we're going to get them to permanency and help the family. So we've had kids that are maybe 16, 17 in the system, been in the system since they were 3. We will case mine and look back and see, where is mom? Where is dad? Where is Tia? Where are they? So we can go find them. We've knocked on the doors and said, hey, do you remember so-and-so back, and where they're at now, they still haven't reached permanency. Are you at a place that we can work with you so they can come to you for permanency? And families say, I didn't even know that was an option. I thought that child was gone forever. And no, we want to get them back to permanency in any way possible. So again, it kind of just depends on where they're at in the system. But ultimately, we want to reach everybody before they even get in. It's called the child welfare system. We call it, again, words matter. We call it the child and family well-being system. And we want to, if they're in the system, we want it to be child and family well-being.
Yeah. That's definitely a lot more pleasant, that terminology. But I really enjoy how you say it's not end all be all once, the child, if it gets to that point, if they're removed, because even, I thought like at some point, like, oh, well, that's it, they, I guess, have to just live like that.
The worst thing we want, and it happens still today, we have a lot of work to do, is for the term is aging out. To have a child age out of the foster care system without permanency. I don't know about y'all. I'm pushing 50, but I know when I was 18, 19, 20, I graduated high school. Yes, I was in college. I went to UTSA, but I had to call my parents at, my kids are 22 and 19. They're still calling me all the time.
100%.
What help that they need, right? Just because you reach that magic age of 18 does not mean you've got life figured out. Like, bye. And that's not the way we want it for our kids. And so if they're that age and haven't reached permanency, they're probably going to find that family anyway. They're going to go back to those memories that they had. And so what can we do to help that? Because we don't want kids to age out of the foster care system without permanency.
Yeah. First of all, I think that is such a good goal, because I personally, whenever I was 18, I don't know if I would have been able to navigate so many things on my own, just because I had turned 18. And that was with a support system behind me, So like having y'all there to be able to be like, we're going to make, if we can't reach permanency before you quote unquote age out, making that transition very smooth, making sure that you're keeping tabs, making sure that they know that you will be there for them is, I'm sure, has changed a lot of lives, genuinely.
We hope so. That's always our goal, right? Is to change those lives, and we love to hear the stories. As I said, I've been there a long time, and so I've literally watched children grow up, and then come back, and they'll reach out. And my favorite story is we had the residential campus, right, where we started, and we were all there. It was before COVID. We were still all in the office every day. We're at our campus, and this gentleman shows up at our door. We didn't know he was coming. He looked a little scary, maybe, like it wasn't a typical thing for this person to just show up at our door. And we were like, hey, what's going on? And he goes, he was probably in his mid-20s at this point. And he says, I don't know if y'all remember me. He said, but I lived here when I was growing up. And it was a Halloween time, because I remember that specifically. And he said, I've had a hard life. He's like, I've been in and out of prison, but I'm out now. And he said, I remember when I lived here and you guys would take me to go get my Halloween costumes. And he said, okay, this was in Bulverde, Texas, where there's not a lot of Halloween costume areas around, right? He was like, the way he said it was so cute. He was like, I was just on my way with my kids to help them find a Halloween costume. And I'm thinking, you were definitely not on your way with your kids, because there's nothing here. But it was the memory of, he came with the mother of his children and his 2 little boys, because he was taking them as a dad to go get their Halloween costumes, and it reminded him of when he lived with us, and they went, so he brought them all to us, and we just got to talk about that. It was just so exciting. It was like, he was remembering that he had that part of his childhood, and then he was bringing it onto his boys. And for him to think of us in that way, you're doing the right thing. And then we were able to say, now we have parenting classes and other things, and like it's good to want to engage in that. And last I heard, he was engaged in those programs and just really thriving, because that was a little part of his childhood that we were able to then put forward to him being a father now. And it's like, okay, we're doing something right.
Oh, I love that. Not only did y'all help kind of establish a tradition with him down the line, but you showed him that, like, this is generational.
Yes.
We helped you as a kid. Now we can continue to help you as an adult. So that way, you can be there for your kids, which obviously if he had his kids there with him, that's definitely a good sign.
Exactly. And he was very much self-disclosed. I spent some time in prison. I had a hard time, but I'm out now and I'm ready. And it's like, yes, that's going to change. That's going to change our future generations, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to empower these families to change the future.
And so speaking of the future, looking ahead, what do you see y'all taking on with the SJRC next? I mean, you just mentioned stage 1 rolling out in September. What can we expect? And do you know maybe when stage 2 might begin to roll out?
That's great questions. Yes, I do. What we're planning on. It's all based on readiness. So we're in that process right now. What we can anticipate is a lot of growth as an organization. So when I started back in 2008, we had about 35, 40 staff. We're kind of a small nonprofit, mom and pop, taking good care of kids, as I mentioned. To today, we have about 350 staff.
Ooh,
and then all the way going into stage 2 by March of 2026, we're anticipating having about 800 staff.
Dang, so y'all are doubling.
We're doubling in size because of the numbers in Bexar County. So we've got the economies of scale will really help. We've got the infrastructure around the work that we're doing. Now we just need to add to it and have the people to help support the growth of the numbers of children and families we'll be serving. So what we can anticipate is a lot of growth, hopefully a lot more support and resources for our community. And then once we get that growth, so I think I said this, I'll be clear. We're starting stage 1 September 1st, and then our anticipated go live for stage 2, which is full case management. We'll add the bulk of our staff. We'll take over any of the CPS cases that are currently happening now and any new ones that reach in the system. And that's where we'll have the bulk of our staff added. So by March 1st of 2026, we'll hopefully be a thriving organization of over 800 staff and taking care of, together with 8A and 8B, about 3,000 children.
Very nice.
Man,
That's going
to look amazing.
Yeah, seriously. That's going to make a huge impact.
We're excited. We're really just, because we've been doing this work now, we feel confident. Like the first time around, if I would have been on, we were nervous because we had never done that work before.
Understandable.
But and we were growing so much in a whole new part of the field that we're in. But now we've been doing that. We've had great outcomes. We've seen some of those stories we told you about. We've seen families be reunited and thriving. And so it's like, okay, we're good now. Now we just have to have the scale and the growth of those numbers, but have the structure to just bring into Bexar County.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and proof of concept works. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for just all of the insight you've given into what you do and the impact that it's going to have.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's semi-unrelated question, but since we are a digital library, we like to ask our guests, what are you currently reading, watching, listening to?
I love that. So it's funny. I used to always say I'm not a reader, right? I mean, I've always said that, I'm not a reader. And then when I got your question and I was thinking about it, I was like, I'm always reading something. So I think when I say I'm not a reader, what I mean by that is I don't read fiction books. I never have. I'm not into fiction. I always am reading business books, leadership books, self-help books. So my one right now that I'm reading is the Mel Robbins Let Them Theory. And I'm not only reading it for myself, I'm reading it for those that are close to me, because it's really the concept is really you can only control yourself. And you cannot control what other people do, and you have to let them do what they're going to do. You're responsible for you, and even with my elderly parents and my raising my kids and just in the work that we do, it's like you're always spinning trying to control everything else, and you can't. And that's what the Let Them theory is all about, and just controlling what you can control. And that helps in so many aspects of life. So it's currently what I'm reading. And when I read, I'll be very transparent. I mean, Audible. I listen. I listen to books. I don't really, I did buy that book, though I do actually have it. But for the most part, I just do Audible and I listen all the time. And I'm always looking at better ways to do things better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's still reading. Audiobooks are absolutely still reading. And I'm with you. I'm more of a nonfiction person myself also. And I think that especially in your line of work, that theory on the way to kind of relinquish a kind of an micromanagement of others is so valuable. And I'm sure that's a valuable thing you can pass on to parents as well. Just there are going to be things that you cannot control, but you can control how you react.
Yes.
You can control how you act in the like in the heat of the moment, if something bad happens, if you feel like disrespected by your child in any way, there's a way to like take that in, reframe things, and not take it out on them or take it as a sign of disrespect, but get to the core of something. That's something that I've seen with like a lot of parenting philosophy that I really respect, and I think that that's personally something that I think would put a lot of people into a different mindset. Yeah.
You said that so beautifully and it articulated it so well. But imagine when you're in it, like how hard it is to do what you just said.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you
absolutely.
Those people that are closest to you push your buttons like nobody else, you know, and then you get that anger comes and it's like, it's not okay, but I understand how it happens. And so to be able to do what you just said and dig deep and control it is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. But are we also saying what we're reading?
I want to know.
Okay, all right. We can cut it if we want, but if for your benefit. Let's see. I just finished. We had just read Bright Young Women.
Okay.
For
That's a great one.
Yeah, for this podcast. We have an episode if anyone's interested. If you are interested. But
plug.
yeah, it's a really, really good book. It's it's more of a historical fiction kind of based around the Ted Bundy murders, stuff like that. But it is a, fictionalized version, taking a lot of lead from the accounts of survivors of those attacks and stuff like that, written from a more, female perspective. And, kind of like the way that the media has like glorified serial killers, mass murderers, stuff like that, and kind of taking it to task a little bit. It's really, really good. I recommend it.
Wow.
It's by Jessica Knoll.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great. Honestly, I second that. Me, I've just been very casually reading a lot of comics and manga books. I can't even tell you one because I've just been reading so many of them in my free time. So, yeah.
Okay. I've never read one in my life.
And you know what? I respect that. But with that said, thank you so much for joining us today, Tara.
Seriously.
One more time, can you remind our listeners and viewers where they can find more information about you guys at the SJRC, social media, websites, all of that?
Yes, we are on all the things, but our website is www.sjrctexas, spelled out TEXAS.org, sjrctexas.org. And then we are on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of it under the same handle, SJRC Texas.
Perfect. Thank you so much again for joining us. I know you're super busy, so this means a lot to us.
Seriously, thank you.
Thank you for having me. It means a lot to me. I love being here.
Just make my day. Well, you guys heard, go check out the website, go check out all the social media. Definitely, it's such a good, even not for you, it's just such a good resource to have in the back of your mind for anyone that might be struggling. So be sure y'all go check those out. And once again, thank you guys for joining us on this episode. I'm Rosanna.
And I'm Lewis.
And we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.